In this presentation, I am going to be showing you the top 10 weather disasters of the 21st century. Some of these disasters will be including blizzards, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes, and even droughts. So to get things started, we're going to go to number 1, 2012 Harrisburg tornado. This was a storm system from Kansas that carried a Harrisburg, Illinois, a EF4 tornado that slammed into the area early February 29th of 2012. Peak winds were estimated to have been about 180 miles per hour, and the width of the tornado path was 275 yards, traveling 26.5 miles. In Harrisburg, over 200 homes and about 25 businesses were destroyed or damaged heavily. The estimates indicated nearly 40% of the city was damaged or destroyed, and 6 people died. Up next is number 2, 2010 to 2012 Texas drought. Since 2010, Texas is still experiencing one of the worst droughts they've ever seen. About 56% of the state is experiencing drought conditions. Texas is about 13 inches below normal precipitation levels in an average year. The lack of precipitation is leaving Texas with $7.62 billion lost in crops and livestock. From 2010 to 2012, Texas has experienced the driest period on record. On another note, we're going to head to number 3, 2008 Midwest floods. The 2008 Midwest floods affected the majority of the Midwest states. That year brought heavy precipitation that caused rivers to overflow and break through levees. Iowa was the worst affected state of this flooding, with many people having to evacuate their homes. This flood was called a 500-year flood because it has a 0.2% or greater probability of occurring annually. We have another flood in this countdown. It will be number 4, 2011 Mississippi River floods. The months of April to May 2011 brought damaging flood conditions to areas bordering the Mississippi River. A winter of heavy rains and snow caused flooding conditions to cascade all the way down the Gulf of Mexico. Thousands of miles of residential and agricultural land were submerged in water. The highest crest stage the Mississippi River reached was 64.2 feet. Even President Barack Obama declared the counties bordering the Mississippi River of Kentucky, Tennessee, and Mississippi federal disaster areas during this flood. Next up in the countdown is Groundhog Day blizzard 2011. During the overnight hours of February 1st and February 2nd, a powerful low-pressure system brought blizzard conditions to many central, eastern, and northeastern states. For example, the city of Chicago saw up to 2 feet of snow and 60-mile-per-hour winds, bringing it to a virtual standstill. Airports, highways, and even universities were shut down for the first time in decades due to the snowdrifts. Not only did the storm bring snow, but it brought over 1 inch of ice accumulations from Texas to New York. This storm affected over 100 million people and caused 36 deaths. Still on the topic of winter weather is number 6, Midwest ice storm of January 2009. In January 2009, a major ice storm stretched from Missouri all the way to West Virginia. A Canadian cold front with a mix from the Gulf moisture created hazardous weather conditions. Most areas saw up to 2 inches of ice accumulation and 1 to 5 inches of snow on top of it. The weight of the ice brought down many power lines and trees. Overall, there were nearly 2 million people without power during this ice storm. Many people turned to kerosene heaters and generators for warmth, but this resulted in 65 deaths from carbon monoxide poisoning. Moving ahead in seasons, we're going to go to number 7, 2011 spring tornado outbreak. The period through the end of May 2011 was marked with over 1,200 tornadoes. The month of April broke the record with the most tornadoes in a single month, with 750 tornadoes ripping through the United States. Between a 3-day period, April 14th through the 17th, 200 periods alone were confirmed in 16 states, killing 38 people. But between April 27th and 28th will go on record as the deadliest 2-day period of tornadoes with 300 deaths. The reason for this outbreak was due to several upper-level troughs providing the development of severe storms. These storms caused significant damage across the U.S., with the estimated damage from all these spring storms being $24 billion. Another thing that happened during that season was number 8, Joplin, Missouri tornado 2011. The most horrific tornado of the 2011 spring tornado outbreak occurred in the late afternoon of May 23rd as a massive storm came through the town of Joplin, Missouri. This storm brought a multi-vortex F5 tornado to the area. A multi-vortex are usually rare, but they contain two or more small vortexes that are inside the larger tornado. This tornado was about a mile wide and had wind speeds from 200 to 250 miles per hour. The tornado destroyed everything in its path and left 25% of Joplin, Missouri destroyed. This tornado not only destroyed homes, but the local hospital, making it very hard for people to receive medical attention immediately. The damage to Joplin cost nearly $3 billion and was the highest insurance bailout in Missouri. On to another weather disaster would be number 9, Hurricane Irene, 2011. On August 24, 2011, Hurricane Irene first hit the Bahamas as a Category 3 hurricane before it moved northeast to hit the United States East Coast. As this hurricane progressed, it downgraded to a Category 1 hurricane when it first touched the United States on August 27th in North Carolina. When it hit North Carolina, it had wind speeds of 85 miles per hour before it became a tropical storm with 70-mile-per-hour winds. The real damage Hurricane Irene caused was from the heavy rainfalls of 8 to 9 inches all up the northeastern portion of the United States, resulting in excessive flooding. Finally, in this presentation will be the most memorable weather disaster that has ever occurred in the United States. And this is number 10, Hurricane Katrina, 2005. On August 23, 2005, Hurricane Katrina started forming over the Bahamas as a Category 1 hurricane. As it moved northwest, it made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane in Florida. But when it moved out of Florida and progressed to the Gulf of Mexico, Hurricane Katrina intensified from a Category 3 hurricane to a Category 5 in under 9 hours. The magnitude of the storm had the National Weather Service sending out warnings of an apocalyptic event for New Orleans. New Orleans was hit with 125-mile-per-hour winds, while Hurricane Katrina moved at a slow pace of 12 miles per hour over the area. Unfortunately, the levees surrounding the New Orleans area were not strong enough to withstand this mighty hurricane. About 80% of New Orleans flooded, and 100,000 homes were destroyed. Hurricane Katrina broke many records. It was the third worst hurricane to ever hit the United States and one of the most costliest. I hope today I presented to you an adequate representation of the top 10 weather disasters of the 21st century in the United States.